Shadow of the Gods, The Eternal Curse, Chapter 1, The Carter Legacy. Cairo, Egypt, November 1935. The desert whispered secrets only the dead could understand. As Dr. Philip Carter stepped onto the Giza plateau, his boots sank into the golden sands, each step carrying the weight of a cursed legacy. The wind howled, carrying with it grains of sand that stung his exposed skin, as if the desert itself sought to warn him away. Clutched tightly in his gloved hands was a decaying manuscript, its fragile pages scrawled with symbols that spoke of an ancient chamber long buried beneath the pyramid's endless stone. A warning had been etched in faded ink, the letters trembling as though written in fear. He who enters shall see the truth. He who touches what lies within shall forfeit his soul. Philip was not here for glory nor riches. He sought answers, answers that had haunted his family for generations, answers buried beneath the weight of ancient stone and time itself. 50 years earlier, his grandfather, Sir Henry Carter, vanished inside this very pyramid during an ill-fated expedition. The mystery had never left the Carter family, poisoning their lineage like an undying curse. The only thing found was his journal filled with sketches of black mirrors, a faceless deity, and a single phrase repeated in an increasingly maddening scrawl. The shadow follows. Determined to uncover the truth, Philip assembled a team of the bold, the desperate, and the foolish. Philip's father had gone mad trying to decipher the journal, his final days spent muttering about watching eyes in the dark, his fingers covered in ink from obsessive, unreadable notes. Layla Farouk, an Egyptian linguist fluent in forgotten dialects. She had spent years studying texts said to drive men insane, her mind holding secrets she wished she could unlearn. Rami El-Sadi, a Bedouin guide whose ancestors spoke of the devourers beneath the dunes. He carried a string of protective charms around his neck, whispering to them under his breath. John Maxwell, a war photographer whose camera, he claimed, captured things that should not be seen. He had seen horrors on the battlefield, but nothing compared to what lay ahead. Together they ventured into the pyramid's depths, following cryptic clues from Sir Henry's journal. The darkness swallowed them whole, and the air grew heavy, pressing against their lungs like an unseen force. Somewhere deep within, something was waiting. On the third night they discovered it, a hidden staircase buried beneath layers of sand and time. Chapter 2, The Black Mirrors. The air was thick with the scent of myrrh and decay clinging to their skin as they navigated the ancient corridors. Flickering torches cast shifting shadows that danced across the walls, distorting reality. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the sound of their footsteps echoing in the hollow darkness. Layla's fingers trembled as she translated the inscription. He who disturbs the sleep of the shadows shall become their vessel. The steps flecked with obsidian led them deep into the earth. At the bottom, a black stone wall loomed smooth as polished glass, its surface adorned with golden hieroglyphs that shimmered and twisted under torchlight. A gust of cold air rushed past them, though there was no wind in the tomb. Something whispered from the darkness, too faint to discern. Philip scoffed at the warning. With dynamite and pickaxes, they shattered the barrier. Beyond the wall was a vast chamber, its ceiling lost to darkness. 12 black mirrors lined the walls, reflecting distorted silhouettes. The air pulsed with a low metallic hum, as if the very stones vibrated with unseen energy. John lifted his camera. A flash burst, illuminating the chamber for a split second. Then he screamed. Everyone turned, hearts pounding. His camera had captured figures in the mirrors, tall, gaunt, eyeless things, watching them from the glass. Yet when they looked directly at the mirrors, there was nothing there. At the chamber's heart stood a pedestal upon which rested a small obsidian box, carved with scarabs in mid-flight. Philip reached for it. As the mist cleared, they beheld the contents. A statue of Anubis. Chapter 3, The Statue of Anubis. The instant the box was opened, a blue mist erupted, filling the chamber with the scent of burnt myrrh and rotting flesh. But not the god as depicted in temple carvings. This Anubis was grotesquely human, its jackal head atop a shrouded body, its hands curled into elongated human-like fingers. And the face, it was Philip's face. The statue's lapis lazuli eyes followed their every movement. The air became stifling thick with an invisible weight pressing against their chests. Rami muttered prayers under his breath. This is not a god, he whispered. It is a prison. Layla took a cautious step back. We should leave, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But Philip did not move. He simply stared at the statue, his breathing shallow. With each passing moment, Philip's excitement grew as he penned down the dark tales that haunted him. Outside, Rami squinted into the shadows, convinced those silhouettes were watching him, waiting for the right moment to strike. Layla, drawn to a mysterious artifact, felt an unexplainable connection, as if it held the key to her dreams. Meanwhile, John's obsession with the shadowy figures intensified, each photograph feeding his fear and curiosity, leaving him restless. That night, the dreams began. Layla saw herself peeling away her own skin, revealing something beneath that was not her. John awoke screaming, swearing he had photographed figures in the dark that were not there before. Rami refused to sleep, watching the dunes, swearing he saw tall figures moving in the moonlight. Only Philip slept soundly, the statue beneath his pillow. At dawn, he emerged, pale, grinning, scribbling madly in his journal. Shadow of the gods, the eternal curse. Layla clutched her arm, shivering despite the oppressive heat. Chapter 4. The Sacrifice. The pyramid trembled as the echoes of Philip's journal entry faded into the stale air. "It feels wrong," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. The walls, once solid and unmoving, seemed to shift in the torchlight, like something beneath the stone was breathing. This place. Rami was the first to hear it. A sound like footsteps in water, slow and deliberate. He raised his rifle, but his hands trembled too much to aim properly. "There's something here," he muttered, scanning the darkness. "Guys, something's wrong with the mirrors," he said hoarsely. John was frozen in place, staring at the mirrors, watching his own distorted reflection blink when he did not. His fingers dug into his palms as cold sweat trickled down his back. "They're moving, but we're not." Philip stood in the center of the chamber, the statue of Anubis cradled in his hands. Philip put it down. His lips moved in a silent prayer. Or was it a chant? His body shuddered as something unseen wrapped around him. A shadow stretching from the corners of the room, growing taller, darker, taking shape. Layla shouted, her heart pounding. The mirrors cracked from the inside, and from within their depths, figures began to emerge. Tall, faceless entities with elongated limbs and hollow, gaping mouths slid forward, their bodies shifting like smoke, but solid as flesh. The air grew heavy with the scent of burnt hair and decay. The temperature dropped suddenly, their breaths visible in the flickering torchlight. One of the creatures reached for Philip. He did not resist. "The gate has opened," the voices whispered. "Time bends, flesh rots, but the shadow remains. You cannot leave. You belong to us now. We have to get out of here." Rami yelled, gripping Layla's wrist. John, still gripping his camera, blindly took a photograph. The flash revealed a sight they would never forget. Philip's body was no longer entirely human. His fingers had lengthened into talons. His eyes were voids of shifting blue light. His skin cracked, as if something inside him was breaking free. Then he lunged. Rami froze in shock, the grotesque transformation of Philip searing into his memory. Layla's scream snapped him back to reality, and they turned to flee. The trees around them twisted and contorted, creating a dark maze as they pushed deeper into the woods, desperate for escape. Heart-pounding, Rami could still hear the echoes of their pursuer behind them, an unholy cacophony that seemed to grow louder with each step. "Keep running!" he shouted to Layla, who was already gasping for breath, her fear propelling her forward. They ran through the crumbling passageways, past the engraved warnings they should have heeded. The pyramid itself was shifting corridors, elongating, twisting, leading them in circles. Laughter echoed from nowhere and everywhere, the sound of footsteps always one step behind them. Yet when they turned, there was nothing. Rami fell first, one of the shadows coiled around his ankles and dragged him screaming into the darkness. His cries faded into silence within moments. "No, no, no, no!" Layla shrieked, her voice cracking as she reached for him, but he was already gone. John dropped his camera as Layla pulled him forward, sobbing, praying, whispering names of gods she was no longer sure existed. With each step they took, the nightmare deepened, and the illusion of escape blurred into an inescapable reality. The air thickened around them, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last as fear seeped into their bones. Time felt like it was stretching an eternity, passing as they searched for a way out every corner, hiding more terror than the last. Caught between hope and terror, they stood at a crossroads, each path shrouded in darkness, whispers of Rami's fate lingering in the air. "Please, please, please," she begged to no one in particular. "Let us out. Let us out." The entrance was close. A single shaft of moonlight beckoned them. Layla reached it first. She turned, holding out her hand for John, but his face had already begun to change. His eyes darkened, his breath slowed, his shadow stretched unnaturally along the stone. Layla took a step back. John. He smiled, and it was not his smile. Behind him from the shadows, a figure identical to her stepped forward, lips parting, to whisper, "Time is not enough." A chill ran through Layla as the words hung in the air. The room felt colder, and the moonlight flickered as if responding to the looming threat. Panic surged through Layla as she realized this was not just a trick of the light. She had unwittingly summoned something that mirrored her deepest fears. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, but the glowing moonlight seemed to beckon her closer to the truth. "What do you want from me?" she gasped, her voice trembling. In 2023, Nora Carter adjusted her camera lens, staring at the weathered pages of her great-grandfather's journal. The old tales of Philip Carter's disappearance had always intrigued her, but now, standing at the entrance of the very pyramid he vanished into, she felt a chill run down her spine. The locals still told stories of the Long Shadow, a figure that wandered the ruins at night, appearing in reflections, but never in reality. "It's just folklore," she told herself. "Nothing but old stories." She didn't believe in curses until she played back her footage that night and saw herself standing in the mirror chamber, staring back at the camera, smiling. But she hadn't been inside yet. Panic set in as Nora realized the stories might hold more truth than she ever imagined. The lines between history and reality began to blur, leaving her wondering what truly lurked within the shadows of her family's past. With a deep breath, she steeled herself and inched closer, feeling an inexplicable pull towards the mirror. Every instinct screamed for her to turn back, yet the allure of her great-grandfather's secret beckoned her forward. In Cairo 2023, Nora Carter adjusted her camera lens, staring at the weathered pages of her great-grandfather's journal. The old tales of Philip Carter's disappearance had always intrigued her, but now, standing at the entrance of the very pyramid he vanished into, she felt a chill run down her spine. The locals still told stories of the Long Shadow, a figure that wandered the ruins at night, appearing in reflections, but never in reality. "It's just folklore," she told herself. "Nothing but old stories." She didn't believe in curses until she played back her footage that night and saw herself standing in the mirror chamber, staring back at the camera, smiling. But she hadn't been inside yet. As Nora sat in a dimly lit room, her face illuminated by the glow from her laptop screen, she reviewed the unsettling footage, her expression shifting from curiosity to horror. The mirror chamber inside the pyramid reflected multiple angles of her smiling face while casting eerie shadows, emphasizing the surreal and haunting atmosphere of the ancient site. "No, no, that's not right," she whispered, rewinding the video, her fingers numb. She turned up the volume, listening to the faint sounds in the background. There was something beneath the static, a whisper, and in the background, just behind her reflection, something moved. She froze. The figure in the footage turned its head slightly, its lapis lazuli eyes meeting hers through the screen. Then the whisper became clear. "Welcome back." The sands shift. The shadows lengthen. The hunger never fades, and the gods still wait for the next soul to claim. Do you dare enter? Tension seeped into every corner of the room as she pondered her next move. Should she confront whatever lay in the darkness beyond the video? With a deep breath, she summoned all her courage, fingers trembling, but resolved, ready to uncover the truth hidden within the static.